Hi, my name's Lynette Anderson and I'm talking to you today from my studio in Queensland, Australia. It's the most beautiful day today, but we've had some really terrible weather and I hear that a lot of the US is having bad weather, so I hope you're all okay. Today I want to talk to you about the gorgeous heart, the crazy patch heart that's in month 3 of the block of the month that I've done for the quilt show. I made mine using a foundation paper. Now there's lots of different ways that you could do it, but I found this to be the easiest way. And to do that you need to draw the heart I've used a Sharpie, a texter pen I was going to call it, not too thick. I've drawn all the lines and I've put the numbers in. Now the numbers are essential because they are the order that you're going to put each piece of fabric into place. So you need those numbers. And the strange thing about foundation piecing is basically we're going to be working on the blank side of the sheet of paper. So this is the side with the drawings. This is the side we're technically going to be working on. Now I've put my first piece of fabric in place. You need to cut them a lot bigger than the actual pieces because with foundation piecing it's often easy to put them in slightly the wrong place and then it doesn't quite work. So my first piece, you'll have noticed when I pulled it off just then, I've actually just held it in position with some glue stick glue, which is a temporary glue, and I've just put it into position on that piece of paper. So when you go to turn it over a bit later on to stitch, it's not just going to fall off, which would be very annoying. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to need to choose your piece of fabric which is going to cover position number 2. Now I've got one that I've prepared earlier, so we're going to put it into place and we're carefully going to turn it over, go to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew on the line that's between number 1 and number 2. Now I've used a very reduced stitch length on my machine. You might need to experiment with your machine as to what works best. The reduced stitch length will ensure that when you come to take the paper pieces out, they actually pull out quite easily without damaging everything. So for this one, we're going to sew on that line that's between number 1 and number 2. We're then going to turn back over to the correct side and we're going to go to the ironing board and we're going to press that piece nicely into place. Now, if you're like me, you're going to need to keep looking at the front. So we're going to have a look. The next piece we need to cut a piece for is number 3. And I've got another piece of red here and I'm going to put it into position. Now, I find working on my light box really good because then I can see usually through the fabric to make sure that I've put the piece of fabric in the right place. But if you don't have a light box, just go up to your window and have a look and you'll find that that's usually quite satisfactory. Now I'm going to pin this one in place. And again, I'm going to go to my sewing machine and I'm going to turn the paper over. But this time I'm going to sew on that line that's between 1 and 2 and number 3, and I'm going to stitch down that line. Okay, and then once I've done that, I can press it out and you can see we're starting to cover our shape. Now you need to keep working like that, covering all of those pieces in numerical order. And as you can see, you'll slowly start to get a bigger and bigger shape until you finally have covered the whole shape. And you can see that I've got all of my heart covered now. So I've given it a really good press with the iron. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my trusty scissors, my perfect scissors, and I'm going to cut approximately 1/4 inch out beyond that last drawn line. That will be your seam allowance. Okay, so we're going to cut around the entire heart shape, and then you need to do what is probably the boring bit, and that is actually just remove all the little bits of paper out of the back because we don't want them in there. Now you need to be careful when you do this because if you just go at it and pull really hard, you'll damage your stitches. So just take your time and ease it out, and it'll come out fairly easily, and you can just discard all of those pieces. Okay, once you've done that and you've cut out beyond that drawn line, your crazy heart is then ready to applique into place. Thanks for joining me today. See you next time.